How can we as a nation say that your life and your rights, as basic as the right to control your own body, is determined on geography?
How can we as a nation say that your life and your rights, as basic as your right to life, and yes, also your right to control your own body, depends on geography? Meaning the fact that you happen to be necessarily located inside your mother's uterus. Because the most natural place in the world for a fetus is in his mother's uterus. We are all of us necessarily, for a time, usually about 9 months, inside our mother's uteruses. You were, I was, we all were. So why does a human in utero not have a right to life, but a human ex utero does? Why does that thin little membrane of skin matter so much? Because nothing magical happens when you're born. Although it is a beautiful, magical kind of thing to behold, nothing magical happens. You don't become human when you're born. You don't become alive when you're born. You don't gain your DNA when you're born. In fact, all of that happens at fertilization, when a whole, individuated, genetically distinct, living human organism is formed. And all the DNA required to grow into the baby, into the child, into the toddler, into the adult that you will eventually become is present at fertilization. I was a fetus at one point. You were a fetus at one point. Just like I was a baby at one point. Just like I was a toddler at one point. Just like I was a teenager at one point. It is a stage of human development that, yes, for a time, requires you to be geographically in one place. So actually, I agree with Tim Walz when he says this. How can we possibly have something as basic as the right to your own life, which is the most fundamental of all rights? If that doesn't exist, then no other right exists. How can we have the right to life depend upon your geography? And while Tim Walz was saying this in the debate, he was referencing Amber Thurman, who actually died tragically, because she was given chemical abortion pills when her twins were too far along.
So Kamala want to blame Trump for Amber Thurman's death. She didn't tell y'all that it was her and the Biden administration that made it so where the doctors no longer during COVID time have to actually give those who was wanting an abortion an ultrasound before or after the procedure had been done. They also didn't tell you that many have been working on banning these chemical abortion pills because women are 50 more times likely than a surgical abortions to go to the ER. And why is Kamala bringing this up now when this happened in 2022? How dare she use Amber Thurman's story for her own propaganda? How did you just jump in the race and all of a sudden you're concerned about something that happened 2 years ago? The girl was 9 weeks pregnant with twins as a single mother, drove all the way to North Carolina, supposed to have a surgical procedure done. And because she showed up late and the facility was busy, they decided, without doing an ultrasound, that we're going to give you some chemical abortion pills based off of the date that you told us that you were. It's documented that when you're taking a pill like this, that it only goes up to 10 weeks. And if you're having twins, they got to give you way more than the average. Because of a bill that the Biden administration passed, the doctors did not have to do aftercare and check on her and go ahead and do another ultrasound and make sure everything had cleared. They sent the woman all the way back home to Georgia, and only to find out a few days later she might have sepsis, which is something that is a no cause of what can happen to you from taking those chemical pills.
So ProPublica came out yesterday and said there was a woman who lived in Georgia. She is a young mom. She's pregnant with twins. She goes to North Carolina to have a surgical abortion. She shows up late. They instead said, in all their generosity, don't worry, we'll give you chemical abortion pills. She goes home to Georgia and eventually starts to get very sick. She gets to the ER. The doctors diagnose that she is septic. Parts of the child, parts of the placental tissue remained within her womb. By the time they get into the OR, they do emergency hysterectomy and she dies in the OR. The abortion industry, ironically, is saying that this is because of the pro-life movement. Okay. What we know is 3 people are dead. 3 people are dead because a woman felt like her only option was to drive to another state and pay someone for a surgery and then eventually drugs to end the life of her twins.
So why is Tim Walz bringing this up right now? Why is he pretending like this happened because of some kind of something that Trump did, when in reality, it's because of something that Biden did?